What up, though, One Pride? This is the Roar of the Lions UK podcast, the podcast where One Pride goes worldwide. And this is the immediate reaction stream to the Pittsburgh Steelers at Detroit Lions, in which the Steelers and Aaron Rodgers once again may have just put the final nail in the coffin of one of our seasons. And yeah, this game was a very bitter pill to swallow, and it's 20 to 2 in the morning here. I've been through just about every emotion under the sun with this game, and I thought, well, let's hop on a bit, let's see what people think, allow people to express views. As we did, I think it was after the Eagles game, we had the sort of vent stream there, but I just needed to come out and vent a little bit after this one, because, man, this was tough. If you're dropping in, if you've got any questions, put your comments in. We'll discuss everything you want. We'll hang around for 30-40 minutes and I'll probably get out of here because it's early in the morning. But what a tough loss. Lions 24, Steelers 29. We were touchdown favourites coming into this game, going up against the 28th ranked rushing offence in the NFL, going up against a 40-year-old quarterback who had no left-hand side of his offensive line. It's one of the most passive offences going. Its defence is always really good and game-changing, but the offence is passive and can be dealt with and is not going to put up many points usually on you, and we've just let it absolutely run riot on us, especially Jaylen Warren. 2 touchdowns for him today, 143 yards. This run defense that we're so proud of, that we've invested a lot of money into, a lot of draft capital into, has just been undone once more. And again, the Lions just don't come to play on the run game. David Montgomery was our leading rusher today, 4 carries for 14 yards. 14 yards. Jared Goff has to throw the ball 54 times. He gets nearly 370 yards and 3 touchdowns. And everybody doesn't like Jared Goff after this one, despite the fact we could get no ground game going for him whatsoever. And more importantly, what this means is the Lions season is it's basically over now. I know there's already people out there going, well, if the Green Bay Packers lose out and we lose our last 2, we can still get in. But you can see it, I can see it. We've got eyes, we've got brains. We can see how this team is playing. We can see how the teams we're chasing against are playing. Like this, we didn't turn up for 3 quarters of this game. We did not turn up. We spent the third quarter with the ball for about 20 seconds. 20 seconds. We had 3 plays. One of them was a safety. We went negative 4 yards because the Lions, in their ingenuitive wisdom, changed their centre at half-time. I don't know what Kingsley Aguakan did wrong in the first half. You then have Michael Neeson for the start of the second half, and a botch snap from him forces a safety, which just completely deflates everybody and sets the tone for this game. But, obviously we're going to do the deep down report on this probably later today, our time, because it's already Monday here now. But we're just trying to go through the immediate reaction stuff today, which is a pain. But thanks for everyone who's joining. Terry Perry is in the chat. He goes, the season is lost because of injuries, bad O-line, depth, bad play calling, no pass rush. I feel the players checked out. That's a lot of issues. We've got 6 or 7 issues that have maybe stopped us having a good season. That's a lot of issues for us to deal with. But yeah, he goes, hope you're doing okay. I am doing great today, or technically yesterday, but technically today is my birthday. I am 36 today, and I have been put through the 7 levels of emotional hell watching the Lions game, and I've come out at the other end a defeated man. This one was a tough one to swallow, especially when it's your big day. So hey ho, but it is what it is. But I'm glad you're here. Goes, thanks for streaming. Look forward to your thoughts on the game and the season. Like I say, we will do the deep stuff tomorrow, but I like to get people's views right after a game. We always do the reviews like a day later, so our emotions can quieten down and we can have perspective on the game afterwards, which is all well and good. But I think there is a lot of value into getting raw, unedited, unfiltered views at the end of a game as well, to see what people are thinking. Lisa De Lorenzo's in the building. She goes, the season has been over, Anthony. I mean, we've all thought it a little bit, haven't we? The way this team's played this year, they've not won back-to-back games since week 5. We've now lost back-to-back games for the first time in over 3 years. I'm kind of glad that record's gone. I was getting sick of hearing about it. It's not really a record if you just win losing every single week. But obviously that record's gone now. But I think we all knew deep down that that this season, even if we won this, we were probably putting it on life support, because you've got to go on the road twice now in the NFC North. It is not easy. I know the Packers are banged up, and technically, yeah, maybe we can think the Packers, who are absolutely injury-ridden right now, might, but we can't beat the Steelers at home. We are going to struggle to go and beat the Bears and the Vikings on the road, no matter how bad they're doing. We're just going to have issues, so yeah, I agree, Lisa. It was still mathematically possible, but I think we're just kidding ourselves otherwise. There goes Andy. What do you think we need to right the ship for next season? I'm going to go into this in a moment. I'll just catch up on the comments first. Lisa goes, the defense couldn't stop anyone, and Montgomery's not getting the ball enough. No, Monty's not getting the ball enough, but the offensive line's not blocking well enough. Didn't matter who was in there. Gibbs, Monty, they just were not blocking for them. Like, the amount of missed assignments, like, it felt like the Steelers had a free blitzer every run play. It wasn't. They were just so quick that our guards couldn't get to their blocking points before the Steelers were on our guys. Whether we need a bit longer to let the plays develop, I don't know. But Highsmith, all that crew were just... They were just getting to their marks before our guys were. That's bad run blocking. That's bad execution. And when you're not getting your execution right, it doesn't help when your guards are when your line's getting swapped. Mahogany got swapped for Frazier early. Aguakun got taken out for Nice. Like, they were just playing ring around the roses, hot potato with that interior offensive line. Why are you taking guys in? Why are you taking guys out? They're not in a rhythm as it is. You're not going to get a rhythm just moving guys in and out all the time. Changing your centre was disastrous. You know, the first play Frazier came in after Mahogany got pulled from the lineup. Frazier gave up a sack. It's just... You can't be higgledy-piggledy with it. You've got to pick a guy and you've got to stick with him. And you've got to say, I trust you. And right now then they're saying, I don't trust you to all these guys in there. So there's no wonder we're having issues. And, you know, for the most part, the run blocking was poor, but the pass protection was superb, I thought, for the most part in this game. I thought Aguakun had a great game at centre in pass protection. There's at least 3 plays I can think of where he pancaked somebody or really did a number on them. Like, I feel good about having a Aguakun on the roster next year, but yeah, moving guys in, moving guys out, it's tough. Matt Quain goes, awful watch. It was for the most part. I must admit, to the end, I'm very emotional on games, so emotional me got very excited, but for the first 3 quarters, it was terrible. That 10-minute drive in the third quarter is some of the most soul-draining Lions football I've seen in Dan Campbell's tenure. Like, it just felt like that drive went on forever and ever and ever and would not stop. And even though it was only a field goal, it was just... They were having their way with us. 3 3rd and 10 conversions in a row, unacceptable. The amount of third downs we let them get out of. The Steelers were 8 of 16 on third downs, which is only 50%, but at the same point, most of those third down conversions were either 3rd and 10s or 3rd and medium, backed up right against their own end zone. There was an atrocious one where we had them 3rd and 4, right on the back of their end zone. And Aaron Rodgers threw a pass out to Calvin Austin, and DJ Reed just got turned around by him. He was about 5 yards away from the player when Austin just hit a simple out route to the perimeter, caught it, first down. Like, we're paying you $16 million, dude, and Calvin Austin has just absolutely murked you in a 3rd and short situation where we could have got them off the field. And they went on and scored on that drive. It's just players not performing, bad execution, just bad everything all over the show. Lisa goes, the defense couldn't stop anyone. Yeah, sorry, I've gone through that there. Steelers won the game, end of story. Yep, of course they did. I chucked a lot of rubbish about the Steelers during this game, and I still think, even after losing to them, I look at it, I know if the Lions play a good game of football, we'd absolutely destroy the Pittsburgh Steelers. Our offense is so much better. Our defense is good enough. Like, I still believe on our day we could kill them, but the Steelers came in, and the Steelers probably played their best game of the season. Let's be honest. Defensively they were very good. Offensively, when they needed to, they were very good. They were aggressive. Mike Tomlin went for a 4th down at the halfway line. Mike Tomlin never goes for a 4th down at the halfway line, ever. It kind of felt insulting that he went for a 4th down against us, but that's kind of how much he respected us. Not at all. He trusted their guys. Like, it was last week. He had 2 of the most cowardly punts you've ever seen in your lives, which were probably worse than they were probably easier than the ones he did today. He just didn't care. Such was his disdain for this team and its defense, and it was really soul-crushing to see that. Like, they were being aggressive against us because they knew they could be aggressive against us, and the Steelers are never an aggressive offense. But yeah, Steelers did win the game. I will give my hat off to them. They're 3 games over 500 now. That defense can carry them wherever they want to go. They do look like they could do some damage this year. Matt Gwen goes, he wasn't blocking well, that's for sure. Not sure who that's regarding. Maybe just clarify that one for me. Terry goes, Davenport hurt again. You've just got to lol. Yeah, it's his shoulder. He hurt his shoulder last time. He's injured again. The season's over. I do not want to see him back on this team next year. I don't care whether he's working for free. I don't care whether he's adding money to the Detroit Lions cap and we get an extra $1 million for having him on the roster. I just don't want to see him here anymore. Part of this thing that I'm going to talk about in a minute is how are the Lions going to adapt and evolve their approach to the roster to stay competitive in the NFL. And it's not having injury crocs around the roster causing you issues already. You're already going to have injury attrition in the season. You can minimise your injury attrition by having less injury-prone players on the roster. I do fully believe that. But yeah, he's hurt again. He wasn't in there to help us at the end of the game. Story of his career with us. And we just keep falling for the belief that one day he'll suddenly get better. Appreciate that, Lisa. Yeah. I've had a nice birthday overall. A game is a game, but yeah, 36 times round the sun. Now, you've been a Lions fan almost as long as you've been alive. Good on you. The loyalty there, this is what I love about Lions fans. The loyalty is absolutely tremendous. Thank you, Terry. Appreciate that. Independent Aquaman goes, just dropping in. Happy birthday, adios. Go Lions. Nice to see you very briefly, Independent Aquaman. Hope you're doing well. Do you feel Campbell or Holmes both should be on the hot seat? Again, I'll address that in a minute. O-line and D-line are major needs in the draft and free agency. Also, secondary is now a concern with Branch and Kirby injuries. And Maddox is hurt now as well. Maddox looked like he was hurt badly in this game. I don't know what the update is on him, but we might be without Maddox for the rest of the year now, and we've still got Harper fresh off a concussion, so I don't know. If you're a Detroit Lions season ticket holder, you might be getting called up to the roster at some point soon. Do you think Kelvin should get another season as DC, or should we move on with a new set of coordinators? I saw enough from Kelvin in the first half of this season to suggest that he's going to be alright. Let's not forget, after like 8-9 weeks, we were all praising Kelvin, his ability to adjust on the fly. Like, there were a lot of times teams were scoring on us early in games, and the second half we were looking a lot better. I think for a first year guy, despite the rubbish end to the year, I think he showed enough of a glimpse at the start of the first half of the season to say there's something with him. He is a first year guy, he will learn, and he's had to deal without a lot of his main secondary. He's not had his 2 main safeties. Terrion's been in concussion protocol and had a shoulder injury. They rushed him back and he's gone again. Reed's been on IR. Meek has got a club on his arm. It's not easy. I'm not saying there are not issues with Kelvin. There are. But he's shown me enough to get a second season. Offensive coordinator, however, that needs to change. And tomorrow, get rid of John Morton. Let's go the way we did with Ben. Get someone young, creative, who's willing and got the game plan to get all our offense involved. And to find a way to limit the problems that we're having on the offensive line. There's got to be some issue. There's got to be some way we can help the run game, whether it's more running on the perimeter, getting the guys out in space. I don't know, but there just has to be a better way. So I would go with a new OC, but not a new DC just yet. Lisa goes, Davenport's had a hurt shoulder all year. He has. Ken Stouder goes, Davenport, Levi, Pascal, all gone. Decker may retire. Glasgow is 33, not so. Yeah. Again. All right, so I will get to the point here. The main point I have, because this is what I've had, and this kind of touches on a lot of these questions. For me, this game, the Detroit Lions have hit their line in the sand. And what I mean by what we've hit our line in the sand is we've hit the point in the evolution of this team where we've got to make a decision which way we want to go further forward with this team. We are now 2 years removed from the NFC Championship game. We have not won a playoff game in 2 years now. We're going to be going into year 6 of the regime next year, which is a good amount of time at this point to, pass comment on the guys running it. For those of you who watch the pod all the time, you know I've been sort of harping on about this for a while now, but the way we've built the roster through the draft, through free agency, shrewd acquisitions, etc., has absolutely been the correct way to do things at the start of this build, because we had no roster when Brad and Dan came here, really, apart from the offensive line. We had no roster at all, and we've had to do it diligently. We've had to wait for the money to become available. We've had to wait for drafts. We've had to wait years go by as the draft picks develop, and the method they've used up till this point, maybe not including some of this year, but for the most part has been the correct method. The slow build, building through the draft, getting all your young guys in, just working through free agency, not making any big splashes, not bringing any massive names in, maybe taking a few hits on injury-prone players who might outprove their value because the injuries have decreased it to such a degree. That's fine. You're now going into year 6 next year without a playoff win in 2 years. You have a very talented core here right now. We've done our job in the draft. We're paying a lot of these guys. It's going to cause some issues with money down the line, but you have your core here at this point. You're 90% of the way, I do fully believe, to get into a Super Bowl. The only trouble is that final 10%. That 10% which takes you from being a well-built team to being a well-built championship team. You can't always do it stubbornly the way you want to, and our regime has shown a tendency to say, look, we're doing it this way, we're doing slow build, we're doing it through the draft, we're getting prospects, all that sort of stuff, and we're going to do it that way, and we're going to pay our own guys. We're not going to go outside the building, we're not going to make any major free agency plays, we're going to do it this way. That's fine. The trouble is your draft strategy's failing to a degree. All the developmental picks that you've made that were supposed to supplement the roster are struggling. We lost the class with Broderick Martin and Colby Sorsdal. That was supposed to be our new swing tackle, the defensive tackle piece. It's not working. Varkey's having injury issues. Manu's having injury issues. Again, another tackle option, and versatile weapon on this team. These guys are not progressing up to the roster. It's just your high-end talent that's so far done, got you where you want to, and it's going to cost you a lot of money going forward. You are now at a point where you can't just do it through the draft anymore. As people have already mentioned in the comments, we need to address the offensive line this season. We need to get someone in for Taylor Decker for the long term. Hopefully he does another year, but you need a new tackle. You need a new centre, really. Ratledge should stay at right guard exactly where he is right now. You need to invest in a centre. You need a new edge too, because Al-Qadim Mohammed's likely going to play his way out of a contract here, the way he's been doing. And even so, you're going to want a younger, cheaper option through the draft. So you want another edge player. You're going to have to reinvest in your secondary because your corners are beaten up entirely. You've got a lot of injury-prone guys in there. You've not got a lot of certainty in there. Amik's out of contract, so you've got to rebuild that. Your two main-term safeties have long-term injury concerns. One's an Achilles, one's a knee. So you're going to have to reinvest in your safety room. There are too many problems for us to be able to fix in a draft. So this passive approach we've got to building the roster of, okay, we'll sort what problems we can and we'll move on. So you get to next year, and maybe you don't get a tackle in the draft because the ball doesn't fall the way you want. Decker retires, Decker has injury issues. What is the excuse then going to be? Oh, I couldn't get a tackle this year, we've got to wait through the draft. And even when we do draft these guys, we've got to wait 2 or 3 years. Time is passing you by. The amount of problems on your roster that are building up are passing your draft strategy by. You can't just do it through the draft anymore. And this is where the line in the sand is. Are you going to stay on this line of the sand where you are going to fade into obscurity, and we are going to live off the memories of the NFC Championship game and go, well, we got there once doing it this way. We did. We got luck along the way. We were very healthy, and we were able to make it. Are we going to be able to... Are we going to stay on this line of the sand and say, look, no, we're staying here. We're going to this, because I think if you do, success is going to pass you by. We're going to get further and further away from the top. Last year we had injuries, fine. This year we've got the offensive line issues, which is a problem. Next year we're going to have issues on the offensive line and the defensive line. When you slow build, the answers are slow to implement. Now, if you want to do it that way, great. You keep a window open for longer, etc. My problem with the long window is it's easy to make excuses then. Like say, oh, we can do it next year. We were injured last year. We could do it this year. We were injured this year, we can do it next year. What's going to happen next year, which is going to be the problem, which means we can do it the year afterwards. You've got to decide, do you want to be that team who's just going to do that? It's going to do it the right way. It's just going to pay all its own players, but you get left behind in the process. Or are you going to go, okay, we've done a really good job drafting. They've done a tremendous job drafting. We have a lot of good young talent here in Detroit. It's going to be here for many years to come. It's expensive, yes, but we've done what we need to. Are we going to give this core a legitimate shot to go and win it all? By being more aggressive in free agency, by going after some starter caliber players, by, we didn't invest in guards or anything in the draft. We did it in the draft. But are we going to just add a tinge of aggression to what we do to fill more of these holes? If we need to go out and get safety to cover our 2 main ones and we can't get one in the draft, are we going to go out and get one? Or are we just going to say, look, we can't draft one, we've got the guys we've got in? I think at some point you've got to take the step to the final 10%, which is your aggression at how you build the roster. There are too many holes for us to just sit back and do it the draft way this year. Otherwise, we may as well just give up on next year already. And I think this is going to be a pivotal decision for the franchise. Are we going to finally get a little bit more aggressive? Are we going to finally start seeing the restructure of contracts to free up money for more of a hands-on, right-away approach? Or are we just going to continue to sit back and hope that the slow build way will eventually, be it now, 5 years, 10 years, eventually wins through? I think this is the year, in year 6, where you finally got to start showing a bit of aggression in the way that you build this roster. That's where I'm at. And, I'm a bald guy on the internet who just has opinions. I might be wrong. Probably am wrong. But I've been worried about this team for a long time now, since the Washington game. Mentally, they've shown that they can't deal with being perceived as a winner. In that Washington game last year, we were favourites. We were a 1 seed. We were a 15-win team. Everybody expected us to win that game. No one had ever thought about us like that before. We've built our grit motto on being an underdog, on shocking people, on proving people wrong, on proving the national media wrong, on having our backs up against the wall, and that's all well and good. But there will come a day when you play so well that people will start to believe in you. They'll start to think you're better than everybody else. They'll start to act like you're better than everybody else. And you've got to adapt with the times. And this year we've just shown an inane ability to not do that. We've been in games where, like today, the Steelers game, we are a touchdown favourite at home. Our season is on the line. We are a touchdown favourite coming up against the 28th ranked rushing offense in the nation. It's in our house. You're coming to our house to ruin our season. I don't think so. This is where you've got to act like a winner. And for 3 quarters, we acted scared. We were passive. The offense struggled. The defense did what it could and did very well early on, but the offense just gave it nothing to work with. And every time we got an opportunity, we forced a fumble defending our own 2-yard line. 3 plays later, we give up a safety on a botched snap. Every time we're asked to act like a winner, we fail the test. And it's a mentality issue. And, you know, I think at some point, you've got to look outside the organisation and say, are there players out there who can bring a mentality of a winner with them? Can they be the ones who dig down that extra little bit and are able to handle the pressure of being considered to be one of the best teams going? And I think that's the way we've built it right now is just, you know, we need to deviate from that a little bit. So that's where I'm at with this. It's the line in the sand moment for us. I think we've reached the pinnacle of what we can do with the slow build, and we've now got to go on the aggressive build. And I think the team have to ask themselves that question as well. I know what Brad will say. They'll say, we're going to be brave, we're not going to let this setback differ us from our approach. But as the line in the sand program is, it talks about evolution, evolving with the world. What works one year might be obsolete the next, and it's up to you to be the best you can be to evolve to the times. And I think we've got to evolve to the times. We're not evolving with the times right now. We're sticking with what we know in the past when we were a good team, and we're letting people pass by us as we remember a bygone age that just doesn't exist anymore. Sounds a bit philosophical, but that's where I'm really at with it. And this comes down to the whole expectations about Dan and Brad now. Dan and Brad are safe. Like, what the job they've done here is absolutely amazing and one of the best things ever. I think next year in year 6 is the first year you have real scrutiny about what they do. Their actions this off-season to what is happening to this team and how this team is falling backwards competitively, their reaction this off-season will be telling, and depending on what they do and depending on how they react, I think they will really start to get judged properly for the first time next year. You know, people are getting tired of the, you know, we need to be better, we need to prepare them better. You know, that spiel is starting to lose track now. Back in the days when we didn't lose so much and we were showing positive progress, these sound bites and that are fine. We're going backwards now. And you've got to talk the talk. If you want to fix these issues, you've got to fix these issues. You know what the issues are, go and fix them. Don't just stick to your method of slow building this thing and go, well, we know we've got a problem, but we're not going to do anything about it because it goes against the ethos of what we do. You've got to evolve with the times. So Dan and Brad are not under a hot seat by any means, but I think they're under real intense scrutiny for the first time next year. And if we struggle again next year, I think you see the first true questioning of whether we're going in the right direction or not. So I think it filters in to that. I know that's long and it's convoluted, and I can probably put it in a better frame of mind because it is 2 o'clock in the morning here and I'm very emotional after the game, but you all know what I'm feeling. You know, I'm very honest with you all on here. So you kind of know where I'm coming from. Let me just get through some more of the comments before I get there. Injuries have decimated our secondary. Yes, they have, Lisa. It is a viable thing, but at the same point, today we got some sacks on Rodgers, but he's working with a, you know, he's working with an aluminium offensive line. The left tackle ain't the starter. The left guard ain't the starter. Pretty sure the centre ain't the starter. I don't know if Zach Frazier was in, but there's UDFAs in there, 6th round picks, day 3 picks. The amount we've invested in our D-line, we should have had a lot more pressure on Aaron Rodgers than we actually did. So I know we had a banged up secondary. I thought the secondary did a good job for them. Rock Ya-Sin absolutely locked down DK Metcalf for 3 quarters. Like, they gave as good as they could. The line didn't help them, and it's just exacerbating the issues that they've had. Should the Lions cut KJ before his extension contract kicks in? Joseph, got to wait and see what his medicals say. You don't make any decisions on Kirby till the medicals are made, and that's, you know, that's where we leave that conversation. for now. Mark G goes, the season can be summed up with three things: Ben Johnson, Frank Ragnow, and injuries. Frank is the big one. Frank, centre's been a problem all year. We made no attempt to invest in a centre behind Frank while he was here, apart from Evan Brown. We made no attempt in the draft to sort this problem in case he did retire. You're right, it's an issue for sure. The offence, I don't know. We are still one of the top scoring offences in the NFL, but I know the eye test says that's absolute balderdash. The offence is struggling, I agree. And it comes back to the offensive line. Injuries, I'm not as pointed to put it towards injuries this year. We've had some injuries, but we've still got a very talented team, and we should still be able to win games of football with the guys we've lost. So I don't want to make an excuse on that part for it, but I understand. It certainly isn't there. Ken goes, yep, the window now very small, need a serious change to open it up again. I think we need to change our practice intensity, reduce the injuries any way possible. Again, I think you can help yourself by having less injury-prone players on your team. You have got to start making tough calls on these guys. Davenport's got to go. Pascal's got to go. Guys like, even Rakestraw now, you start putting a clock on Rakestraw. By the time we get to the start of next season, Ennis Rakestraw won't have played competitive football consistently for 3 years. 3 years, it's a long time to go without football, and we don't know what he's going to be yet, because we quite frankly haven't seen him, but you have to assume that this injury hoodoo isn't going to just go away. You've got to bury him down your depth chart at cornerback 6, and if all of a sudden he gets healthy and he plays like the guy he is, that's going to be a damn cornerback 6 to have. But if you put him as a corner 2 or a corner 3 and he gets hurt again, you're going to hurt your depth next year, and you've kind of got into it knowing he's got injury issues. I think you've just got to be a lot harsher on these guys. Levi is coming back this year. I love Levi to death. I think he's a wonderful example of, the grit and determination of what we embody in this town, but history now tells us that he's hurt all the time, and we've just got to start getting brutal with these guys. They're player first guys, but we did it with Mosley, we did it with Julian Aquara, we did it with Romeo Aquara. Just these guys who tell you again and again and again, I can't do it when it matters, and Davenport now for that matter, and we keep trusting them. We've got to wipe that out. I'm sorry, we do. We give ourselves the best chance by having the most healthy players on this team. I know the NFL is completely random and completely freak, but I do think you can help your odds by getting less players on who have a permanent injury bug about them. We've just had too many of those guys around the roster. And then when we have an injury crisis, it just exacerbates it even further. Cody goes, our window is still open as long as the QB is playing well. I do think our QB is playing well. I know a lot of people are starting to be out on Goff now, but he threw for 370 yards and 3 touchdowns today. Our leading rusher had 14 yards. I mean, what are we expecting of him? He threw 54 passes. You should never be asking your quarterback to throw 54 passes in a game. We're playing from behind most of the game as well. It's just, even Mahomes and guys like that struggle to throw 54 times a game and keep a team in things. I just think we've been very unrealistic here. The run game has just not been as good as usual this year. And Goff has had his faults, don't get me wrong, but he's not. The turnovers haven't been there. His turnover ratio is fantastic this year. His yardage is good, the stats are good, and yeah, I know stats are not stats, but I think in the echelon of problems on this team, I don't think Jared Goff is a problem right now. If we fix the trenches and we get the secondary healthy, I'm quite happy with Jared Goff in his form. I think he can win playoff games. I think he can make us a 13-14 win team again. So for me, Jared Goff is playing good enough to show that we can still roll with him. We've got to build the rest of the roster around him. But I do agree with a few others. You do look to the draft this year for your next Hendon Hooker. Not Hendon Hooker as in he's going to bust out, but you look to the draft for potentially the next guy. The guy you're going to develop behind him. The guy who's going to be his high quality backup and who may usurp him as a starter in the future. I think you've got to start that clock this year. We don't want to keep Kyle Allen around for it. So, but in terms of biggest problems on here, Jared is absolutely not. He's not in the top 5 right now in terms of problems with his team, and until he is, I'm absolutely fine with the way he is playing. Last year we overcame the injuries. This season we couldn't. Again, the injuries are nowhere near as bad this year as they were last year. Again, I think they're having problems with expectation. You know, last year was the first big setback this team had. In terms of every year before that, we'd gotten better and better. And while we won 15 games and had a 1 seed last year, we didn't get as far in the playoffs. Now you come into this season, and mentally, it gets in your head. Oh, we made an NFC Championship game 2 years ago. But we didn't win a playoff game this year. It's like, oh God, we need to get back to the playoffs again this year. We've got to win. It puts pressure on a team. And we've just not played consistent football at all this year, really. Maybe outside of the first couple of weeks. They've just shown inconsistency in play calling. The offense has been bad. The defense has been bad. But they've been good as well. It's just a sheer inconsistency with this team, which has been its issue. But I think it comes back to its expectations. It's struggling to adapt to being a winner, which I think is the problem we've got. The Terry and Arnold draft is horrible. Yeah, they're all on IR right now, pretty much. Terrion's on IR, Rakestraw's on IR, Varkey's hurt, Manu's on IR. It's not good. The immediate returns haven't been good. You would hope, quote unquote, they're all healthy next year and we can see them at their best. But yeah, it's causing issues. The last few drafts not producing as many guys is starting to cause issues with the pipeline, which are causing some problems for us. We have yet to have a second round pick work out. Ratledge hasn't proved himself yet. Brian Branch was a second round pick. Brian's worked for us. Again, I agree with the overall point. A lot of the second rounders haven't, but Levi, it was down to injury. That was the problem with him there. Ennis, it's been injury. Like, it's not that they've just flamed out. They've had full rookie careers and they've just busted out. It's, for the most part, injuries have done for a lot of them. And again, I know we're picking guys who've had injury issues, whatever, but you can't legislate for that. So I think we've just been unlucky with some of the second round guys there. Do we re-sign Amik? No. Well, sounds harsh. If it's first half of the season Amik, yes. Second half is no. I'm inclined to believe that Amik struggled because our top corners haven't been available and he's been put into situations he shouldn't be. He's too high up the depth chart right now, having to take on too many important assignments against too many good receivers that he's just not capable of. He's not handled to equip. If he's your starting nickel, that's fine. But if you're having to move him to the outside and get him on guys like Puka Nakua and stuff like that, then you're in trouble. So it depends on his value. I think he's playing the value of his contract down, so maybe you will get some value with him. I don't think he can ask for a ton of money after what he's produced after the last 6 weeks. And obviously you want to hope he's healthy because he's got the hand issue at the minute. But if the value's right, I think you bring him back because I think he has shown he can contribute here. But you don't want him in a frontline role on the outside. You want him on inside only. The season's toast. Let's see what Ahmed's got. Hey Brent, hope you are doing well, buddy. I'm not sure when Hassanin is back. Hassanin was always going to be a next year guy, but I agree. If he is healthy and you can get him back, I think getting them reps now is valuable. I think with some other guys as well, the same Tyleek. There's no reason to not play Tyleek every snap now and see what he can do. Give these guys more reps for next year. Steelers are playing well. Sorry for the thumping. Go Steelers. That's from Elevator. Hey, you know what? Well played. Again, I love to talk my rubbish during the games and, that's just who I am. I love to shit talk. It's one of those things. But I thought you did a really good job against us. Your defense, just so many tackles for loss early in drives. Like the first 2 drives, you had the big sack from Benton, I think it was. On the first drive, you had a massive tackle for loss on the second drive. Like, you just kept putting us behind the chains, and then you just kept exploiting our young offensive line, which is inexperienced and beaten up. and they played the game plan to perfection. And on their offense, I thought they were very good. After the first sort of quarter and a half, the offensive drives were clinical. They were long. They gassed out our defense, and they made the plays when they needed to. Like, it was the time of possession that killed us. I think in the end, if I remember rightly, they won 34 minutes to 26, so that's 8 minutes extra of possession. I mean, if you get 8 minutes extra of the ball in a game, you're doing pretty well. You're going to put yourself in a good position to win. The only thing the Steelers stuck with was their discipline. They nearly cost themselves this game because of penalties, so the old guys have got to look at that going forward. But no, credit to you. You played us tough. You put us in bad positions and you took advantage, and good luck to you going forward. I do actually like the Steelers for the most part. You guys draft a ton of guys I like in the draft process. Every year you draft my favourite prospects. So I always have a soft spot for you, just not today. Not today. Thumping, you won by a hair and penalties. Yeah, it wasn't a thump. It wasn't a thumping, but hey-ho, after a win I would say it's a thumping. That's why these pre-game, post-game streams, lots of heavy words are used, but I can imagine the Steelers are feeling happy as Larry right now. I bet a lot of them wouldn't have expected a win today. Maybe they did, but I think most of them will probably have put this one down as a loss. They've put themselves in a wonderful position now, so there you go. Terry goes, I think our last few games left, we should prepare young guys and see what we have in them. Yeah, I mean, they'll not stop playing the starters until it's physically impossible. We can still get to the playoffs. And until it's mathematically over, they will not stop playing their best players. So, it could still go to the last week. If the Packers lose next week, then of course we're going to play our starters in week 18. So I don't think we will see that approach. Not physically. If we lose next week, then yeah, you'll see it against the Bears. But I don't think you'll see it next week just yet. Ken goes, left tackle, centre, guard, cornerback, edge, safety, D tackle, maybe even a backup quarterback, but just not many picks next year. We do need to attack free agency next year. I do believe that. I think you need to attack free agency for an interior lineman, an experienced one, to go with Mahogany and Frazier and Ratledge. And hell, I would keep Aguakan next year. I think Aguakan's your backup centre going in the future. They've invested 18 months in him. I thought he was damn good today, and I think he's worthy of a roster spot going forward. You've got to get a new tackle. But yeah, there's a lot of positions, unless Brad's going to trade back and get more picks. But then again, you've got to wait for the draft picks to develop. You've got to give them 2 years before they're starting fully. So, we need answers now. We need draft picks for the future, but we need immediate answers as well to help us be competitive right now. Otherwise, we're going to hit some form of a competitive rebuild. And we can't do that after 6 years with one lot of playoff wins. You've got to be a bit more aggressive this year. We need veteran starters or young players that can be good starters in free agency. Yes, I agree. Night Owl goes, I couldn't agree more. Time for the Lions to push in their chips and actually go for it. Yeah, and again, I think you can see every time you tell another Lions fan that they need to be more aggressive, they go, oh, but you're going to throw away the future, you're going to shut the window down. They get so hyperbolic about it, and the fact is, you don't need to be. Brad has got no restructure. I think Taylor Decker and Jack Fox are the only restructured contracts on our books, and Jack Fox is for $1 million or something like that. The fact is, Brad has not restructured anybody. So we have a lot of big base salaries next year on contracts that we can restructure if we want to. You do not have to restructure them all. You can restructure one, you can restructure two, and you can open up money for this team to go and attack free agency. You don't have to sacrifice the future. We've got our first round picks in the draft. We can still work with them. We've still got our major draft capital, the firsts and the seconds. We can open up money through restructuring whilst being sensible, maintaining a good long-term outlook whilst opening up some money for the future. Because Brad's done such a good job with the cap, we have that option in our arsenal. That is being more aggressive while still looking at the future. So don't let a Lions fan gaslight you into saying that by being more aggressive now we're sacrificing the future. That's just not true. There are ways we can do it. There are ways we can be aggressive and still keep the future looking healthy. So don't be told it can't be done. It can. Lisa goes, I think Brad needs to adjust his approach to obtain talent. Yeah, and that's just called evolution. That is not him being wrong. It's not him admitting he's wrong in what he does. He's done a tremendous job in the situation that he was in. When you take over a team with no talent, his approach works great. When you've then got a team that's got talent and is ready to go and challenge, you have to adapt your approach a little bit. That's not failure. That is just you acknowledging you're on to the next phase of your existence. You were a caterpillar and now you're going to become a butterfly. You don't want to be a caterpillar all your life, do you? You want to be able to fly and be beautiful and radiant, and it's just adapting with the times. This Lions team he has now, from what he inherited, requires a different touch on how it's built. For me, that is the main thing. Not saying he was wrong to start with, it's just saying now is the time to adapt what you're doing. And I think that's perfectly reasonable, and I think that's what he'll be judged on next year. If he doesn't adapt and carries on doing what he's doing, people are going to be a lot more critical on this team next year because of that approach. If he's aggressive this year and tries to fill the voids and we still struggle, they'll say, well, at least he did something different. He's trying new approaches. I think the fans will be more lenient with him if he adjusted the way he did things. But again, right now, I love Brad to death. I've got absolutely no issues with him whatsoever. I think he's just got to adapt going forward. Cody goes, it's a tough call. I mean, look at Parsons and the Packers now. It is. It is. And the thing I would say was, if we live with that mentality, that's fine. We can look at what Parsons and the Packers did and say we don't want to be risky. That's fine. But then this comes a point where, are we living in fear? We think of Packers and the Parsons and go, we are never going to do this for the rest of eternity because they did it and it failed. You've got to kind of get out that boundary of fear as well. Every time a Lions fan suggests something a bit alternative to what we do, whether we trade for a guy or not, you'll have a beat writer saying, oh, well, look at this team, what they did it wrong. And you're living in fear. Yes, sometimes these decisions don't work. Sometimes they do. When the LA Rams took Matthew Stafford, that could have blown up in their face. Stafford could have ruptured an ACL in his first training session, and that Super Bowl year never happens, and their reign of terror never happens. But it didn't. It worked. And I think we're always quick to focus on the negative impacts, the negative instances of when a team goes big and fails, and we don't appreciate enough the times when it works, if you get what I mean. Like, for every bad example, there'll be a good example, and you've just got to be brave and hope that the luck gods are on your side. This is what the whole NFL thing is. The luck from the gods. You can do so much. You're in the lap of the gods for the last part of it, in the hope that you will stay healthy, you get the right schedule, you get the right situation. So I think we just need to be careful. We don't want to live in fear of the ones who have done there. What do you think of Williams at defensive tackle, Rutledge, Fraser, Tesla this season? Tyleek, they've bettered him in the right way. They didn't give him a big load to start with. They've worked him in the system. I would like to see him a bit more now. But I think they took the right approach with him. Rutledge, I've been very impressed with. I think he's amazing. I want him to be the Lions' right guard for the next 10 years, and I think that's where he should stay. I think that's where he's best. Him and Penne together will rock. When they've got a solid centre next to them, I think that side of the line's going to be impenetrable. Frazier, I don't like the approach of putting Frazier in for drives and then taking him out for drives. That blew up in our face today. They did it in the last game. We played a bit of Cole on, we played a bit of Frazier. Pick one and stick with them. With the offensive line, just mixing and matching doesn't work. It very, very rarely works when you're moving guys around. Trying to play guys by drives, it just shows you that you don't trust them. And they'll mark it as well. You're getting this drive, we're kind of working you out. You want that trust. You want your coach to say, you get the entire game at this spot. And if you have a rough series, we'll stick with you and we'll believe in you. And I think this changing of the guard situation that Fraser's getting is not right. Either trust him or just say, look, you're going to sit on the bench and we'll sort this next year. But I don't agree with what they've done with Fraser. With Tesla, I think they've done it right. They've worked him in as well. And I think he's going to be so good going forward. But I like the slow burn with Tesla. JMO and Amon-Ra are 1,000-yard receivers. Well, will be soon. You've got two massive targets to feed there. You're not going to force feed Tesla, really. They've used him effectively. He's got touchdown grabs. His confidence is up. He clearly looks good right now. So, I love the way they've slowly built him in. So for the most part, I'm happy with how they've worked the rookies in. But obviously you can always do a little bit better. Lisa goes, obtaining every often injured player is not the answer either. No, that is true. Holmes needs to let the draft come to him. Hopefully Holmes can trade down for draft capital, which we badly need. I would be of the approach that I'd want to go down this year. Get some more picks if I could, or trade future capital to help this year. Again, I think you need to start putting in some assets into this year. If you use some future picks to come up this draft a little, I'm all for that. If we get the better guys there. Brent goes, safety reminded me of why I wanted to make Zeitler an offer he couldn't refuse. Thanks, Brad, the season's on you. I mean, who knows? We could have re-signed Zeitler, he could have come back and he could have been terrible. We just don't know. It's all hearsay and easy speak. I agree. You don't like to have multiple new offensive line starters in a year, especially when they're rookies. Like, you want to bed in one guy a year, really. Like, this year it would have been great to have Zeitler and bed Mahogany in. And then next year, bed Ratledge in when Mahogany's established like that. You don't want to do several at once. I do agree. And I think they need to do that this year. They need to go out and get a veteran head this year to play left guard potentially. And, we work Mahogany in the long term. But, there is some credence to that. Cody goes, yeah, Lisa, I'm not saying I know the answer, just saying taking a big... Again, there's no right answer to this. I think people can have arguments on both sides of the coin here and both have legitimate arguments about what they're, going on about. I don't think there's a wrong answer here, and I think we need to respect the other side of the view as well. Ken goes, I think Ratledge did well as a rookie, was hoping to see Tesla use more, but all of them have talent, need more variety in their usage. Yeah, they'll get there. I think year 2 for this class is going to be tremendous. I think you'll see Tyleek more because DJ Reader won't be here. You'll see Tesla more. Now he's had a year to adapt. Ratledge is just going to be a starter forever, so he's just only going to get better and better. And hopefully there's a more stable offensive line for him to work on next year. So I'm really excited for year 2 of this class, and I think they've been decent this year. A big Z, yeah, we're not going to talk about Za'Darius here. Za'Darius isn't... working. Nick goes, I thought both outside corners played well. Slot wide receivers, tight ends and running back hurt them. Rock Ya-Sin had a tremendous game against DK Metcalf. You can't ask for more than your from your cornerback 4 or 5 than to keep one of the league's best receivers in recent years quiet for 3 quarters. DK was getting annoyed. DK shoved him in the face and got an OPI. Like, he was in his head. He was all over him. And, I thought in the circumstances, he gave us a damn good game. Rock Ya-Sin has a claim to be one of our best corners this year on the roster, all told. Which is kind of an indictment, but it's a big compliment for him as well. So, yeah, I thought Harper had a good one. Harper had a tackle for loss. I think he helped in one of the sacks as well. For where we got him from, I think he's been tremendous value. So I think the secondary is trying hard and is making good plays. I'm more annoyed at the D-line because they're the experienced guys, they're the starters, and they're not pulling their weight. Keep up the great work, Ant-Man. Hey, appreciate you, Mr. Detroit City. Shout out from sunny Florida. I appreciate it. I know I'm behind on the chat here. I'm glad everyone's in here with me. I will try and get through as quick as I can. I was only going to do 30 minutes, but, I like to have these conversations when they're raw and at their most emotional. So I appreciate you all hanging out with me here. Anthony, it's time for Sheila to fire Brad. I always respect opinions on here, and I get it. People are just damn frustrated right now. We are 2 years removed from the NFC Championship game, and it feels like we're going backwards. I get it. I'm frustrated with you as well. I was so angry after we lost this, after going through what we did. And look, I respect it. I just think if Brad alters his approach to certain things, I think we're going to be just fine very quickly. And I trust him to do so. Given the situation the team's been in his tenure here and what he's done, I'm still happy with him for now. But I get it. I get it. I do. We want a Super Bowl. Super Bowl's the only thing in this business that matters. And when you're drifting away from that accomplishment, then, of course you're going to look at the higher ups and go, you're not doing your job right. So, look, I can understand it for sure. Do you think DK should be punished by the NFL? Yep. If that was Brian Branch would already be suspended. And you know it, I know it. He would already be suspended. If that was Jameson Williams, they'd have retroactively suspended him from the game during the game. You know it, I know it. He's in trouble. You don't hit a fan. I mean, if the fan said something to him untowards, fine. But the reaction that if they say really bad things, you will see a player viscerally react, and you will see a look that's like, oh, he said something that's really got to him. I didn't see that with DK. It just seemed very placid for the fan to have said something really bad to him. So, but you can't put your hands on a fan. He should be suspended for that. Cody goes, D-line drafting hasn't been great. Need to stop drafting only big run stopping Ds. I'm 100% in your corner. I've ranted about this on the podcast so many times. We have sacrificed pass rush for run defense, and we can't even run defend at the minute. I think the organisation looks at pass rushing specialists and kind of takes them off their board. All we hear about is they've got to have the right body type, the right frame, the right skill set against the run. And we never hear about the positives of the pass rush aspect of things. You can teach a pass rusher to run defend. We keep getting told that all these run defending defensive linemen can be good pass rushers. Oh, we can do this with them. We can do that with them. They've got potential. Why not the other way round? You can't just say a run defender can become a good pass rusher, but then say a good pass rusher can't become a good run defender. It's just really weird logic to me. You see Aziruaku for the Cowboys right now. He's doing pretty good against the run. I kept getting told last year his arms are short, he's underweight, he's not what the Lions want. He looks pretty good. Looks pretty good as a pass rusher as well. It's almost like the Cowboys have taught him to do better with his run defense whilst maintaining his positive pass rush attributes. The trouble with our defensive line is outside of Aleem, who's getting misused, and Hutch, none of them have a pass rush arsenal. None of them. None of them are specialist pass rushers. They don't vary what they do to try and get to the quarterback. There's no pass rush. There's no forward-thinking plan of attack. Great pass rushers are thinking 2, 3, 4 snaps ahead, setting linemen up. Ours don't do that because it's just not how they're wired. And I 200% agree with you, Cody. The basis for how we draft our defensive linemen is wrong. The 2 times we've drafted pass rushers in Aiden and Aleem wasn't even really a pass rusher. I'm an NC State fan. I watched most of his college career. I could see the upside as a pass rusher. He had the pass rush arsenal. He had a spin, he had a rip, he had all these different things he did, and you could tell with the right development he'd have it. All these other guys, you don't see it in college with them. So you are 200% right, Cody. We've got to change the way that we identify and scout defensive linemen. It goes, if Ben Johnson had this O-line, he wouldn't be able to run last year's offense. Bears were smart and went heavy O-line in free agency. Tooney, Dahlman, Jonah Jackson paying dividends. Yeah, and they got lucky. For 3/4 of this season, they've had a CFL player playing at left tackle. He was an undrafted CFL player. We drafted Manu. Is it Benedict, their guy's called? He's been pretty decent for them. We're told we've got to wait 3 years for Manu. Whereas Benedict, who was an undrafted free agent, has been a starter for them this year. He's not at the minute, but Ben has found a way to make it work. And schematically, you can find a way. If you've got a bad offensive line that's can't run block, or you've got to work to their strengths. A good offensive play caller will find a way to at least try and mitigate the circumstances. I'm not saying you can solve it entirely, but he will find some plays that put his offensive line at an advantage. Find something they're good at. If they're good at getting in space, use more perimeter plays, run outside the tackle, screens, stuff like that. If they're better inside, just run a heavy set package. We did not use Dan Skipper and the jumbo today as well. That really puts me off. We're struggling to run the football. Where's Dan Skipper? Why are we not running jumbo and having extra blockers in to help? We've done it in recent games to good effect. We did it against the Cowboys. We kept running jumbo on the Cowboys. When Tesla got his touchdown against the Packers, we ran jumbo the entire drive and we ran the football on them. I don't understand this deviance from not wanting to use the jumbo package more. It works. It helps our run game work. It's really, really, really frustrating that we don't use Skip a lot more in these games when he has been effective this year. A lot of people need to go. They do. The problem is Brad. He's done nothing without the Rams Stafford picks, let's be honest. I mean, no, but a lot of good GMs don't do anything without trades as well, so Brad fixed the rotten cap situation. He's done the cap part of it. He's put a lot of talented players on this roster, and we've won more games than we have been in the history of this franchise, really. Brad's done a lot of good things, and we're losing sight of that because, again, we're moving away from the Super Bowl. So we're focusing on the negatives. Now, I'm not saying he's beyond reproach. He's not. And I would like to think this year will be humbling, and he will adapt the way he works. He will evolve. He will pass his line in the sand. I'm going to keep using the line in the sand term because I think it's very relevant. So I think there's a lot of gas in the tank left. I still think highly of Goff. I do. I think he's just fine. Goff should not be passing that many times. No quarterback should pass 54 times in a game, period. Running Gibbs way too much. We didn't have to early today. We did put Monty in later, but both of them were just getting hit before the line of scrimmage. There's only so much you can do. Amazing how big of a difference Ragnar made on our O-line, yeah. And this is why I don't get why centres are not well paid in the NFL. People say it's a devalued position, but it's not. Centres are captains of your offensive line. They have to be so much smarter than... I'm not saying all the tackle has to be good at. He's got to be technically sound, he's got to be athletic, but he doesn't have to deal with half of the mental problems that a centre does. A centre is looking at protections, he's trying to pick up blitzers, he's having to make adjustments at the line, he's having to, he's basically the co-quarterback there. You've got to be so smart and clever at the position, and when you have a cerebral centre who has the physical attributes as well, he is so valuable to your team. For me, he's the second most valuable player on offense after your quarterback, because he's the one who's snapping to your quarterback. He's the one who's leading the line that's keeping your quarterback right. I think the position should be highly valued, and I just don't get this is me as a Brit. I look from the outside and I think it's ridiculous that centres are not valued, and we're watching that this year. Lisa goes, Jared Goff made an amazing play at the end of the game. It was not his fault. A penalty occurred. That is true. O-line needs a massive overhaul. It needs better depth. And I know the other guys keep telling me getting depth in the NFL is hard, and it is. But I think you've got to invest higher draft picks in. We've got to stop drafting developmental guys for the offensive line. We've got to put more picks in there. Like Ratledge. Ratledge is a second round pick and he's a starter and he looks great this year. We've got to get more of them guys in. But we need to balance experience and youth. We got the balance wrong this year. That's where I think we struggled. Coaching changes. Casey Rogers have to go. Jim O'Neill. D-line coach has got a lot to answer for. A lot. We're heavy in sacks. Like, people will put up the sack chart saying the Lions have got a lot of sacks this year. That's fine. Do you know where we are on tackles for loss? We're bottom 5 in the league on tackles for loss. And that may not sound the most fancy stat, but tackles for loss are plays against the run and against the pass. Sacks, it's just against the pass. What the Steelers did today to us consistently, tackles for loss at the run we're forever 2nd and 11, 2nd and 12, 3rd and 13, whatever, because they're getting tackles for loss against the run. The Detroit Lions can't do that. We don't get negative plays against the run, and that's on your defensive line. It's not all about sacks, and we have just made no improvement on the tackle for loss game. We've really struggled with it. And I do think it comes down to the D-line coach. I think his position needs to be under scrutiny going forward. Outside of that, coaching changes. I think we need a new offensive coordinator. Outside of that, I'm not sure. I'm not sure there's many issues we need to deal with. I would stick with Kelvin, get a new OC in, maybe take a look at the D-line coach. Safeties, secondary coaches, it's tough because of the injuries they've had to deal with, and I think they've done a good job as well for the most part. Too many fans overlook Holmes' weaknesses. They do. And we need to have a more balanced conversation about Brad. Brad is amazing, Brad is wonderful, but you've got to have a legitimate conversation about his flaws. And I think that's a perfectly reasonable conversation to have, but people who love Brad too much will just get insulted and insult you, and I don't agree with it. I think we need to have a nuanced conversation about Brad's weaker spots, but like I've said, he has the chance this year to adapt and answer those concerns. So I'm going to wait and be patient and see. And if he doesn't do what I think he should this year, my criticism of him will probably increase, or I will be more critical of it going forward. But you always need to be able to have good conversations about things on both sides and listen to arguments. That's why I've been more, not critical of the team this year, but I've listened. I get told on this pod a lot, and I was told on, I can't remember, I think I might have been on one of Mike's streams, where people just felt they were unable to come onto a lot of content creators' sites and channels and have a conversation about the team if they had worries about them, because a lot of times if you express critical thought about this team, you'll get told you're a same old Lions fan, you'll get told you're this, you'll get told you're that, and that's wrong. I think you've got to be able to have conversations about things. This team's done a lot right, this team has done some wrong, and I think you've got to be able to have the discussions about that. So I've tried more to open my mind to both sides this year, so I will always entertain arguments, always respect them as well. So Goff was a little off today, but he was getting a lot of pressure. And again, he got no run game to help him either. He shouldn't be throwing 54 times a game. Of course he's going to have some when you throw a ball 54 times, you're going to have some bad throws, and you're going to have some weird spells as well. Going way back when the Lions give a star player a big contract, he disappears. It reared its ugly head again this year. Yeah, it's the problem of building around a core, and why I have said that, the Branch class, Sam Laporta, guys like this, I think you've got to let some of them go for draft capital. I think if we invest vast amounts of money in 9-10 players, it means you will unbalance your roster with the financial commitment to it. And I think you've got to be careful. We can't just keep handing out the world's biggest contracts to our rookies all the time. So, I agree. I mean, I'm not saying, a star player, whatever can happen. A player can rupture his ACL the day after you give him a contract. It's just, unfortunately, the nature of the business. The more money you invest in a player, the more it hurts when they get injured. But you can't stop it from letting you do it. It's that argument again. Decker and Sewell have been battling injuries this season. The loss of Laporta hurts as well. I think that's what has hurt the offensive line really this year. I know the interior was new, but we were all hoping the tackles would help. The fact that Taylor had shoulder cleaning surgery over the summer, he didn't see a lot of pre-season, a lot of the training camp stuff like that, and he came into the season already hurt. I think that's hurt the Lions a lot, because that stabilising effect at left tackle that you want when he's playing the best he can was not at 100%, which has a knock-on effect for an interior that's already going to struggle. So I agree entirely, and I still think Taylor's great. I think he's had a decent year, but the shoulder's clearly bothering him, and that interview he did with Dave Burkett is worrying. The dude can't lift his shoulder beyond his arm. Like, when you're that hurt, of course it's going to win. I think Penny's playing a lot more hurt than we all think. Ratledge is playing hurt, I know that much. Ratledge was in a lot of pain a couple of weeks ago, and you could see he was. So it's just been a rotten year for not having any of them fully healthy. Amit could be a good rotational backup, I agree, going back to that. If the contract's low enough, I would keep him. So what happens if the Lions win their last two and the Packers and Bears lose their last two? We can still get in. If we win out and the Packers lose out, we're in the playoffs. And again, it could happen, but we've all just watched that Steelers game. We're a touchdown favourite at home against the team we should be beating, and we've just absolutely let it go. I think we've just all come to an out, like, yes, we can make it, but I think we've all seen that realistically it's going to be very difficult. But it is not over just yet, but I'm not going to insult people's intelligence by saying let's all believe, because I'd be asking you to disbelieve what you've just seen. Need a big fast corner. I think we need to go corner again. We do. Where, I don't know, but again, I don't want to go into next year with Rakestraw penciled in as a starter. He has not played football in 3 years. He's been having injury issues because of his smaller frame. We've been once bitten, twice shy by it already. You can't be third time. Put him in down the depth chart, fine. But I think we need another person in there. How about Brad wasting draft picks on guys like Carlton Davis and Z, then refusing to pay them, both clearly interested in returning? I mean, we've got a comp pick out of Carlton Davis. We've got a fourth for him next year. Z, sometimes guys price themselves out. We're going to have trouble with guys this year. Al-Qadim Mohammed, he might have priced himself out of a contract. Sometimes guys do. And because we've got so much money invested in the core, those $8, $9, $10 million a year contracts become tough to afford because you're paying your big bucks to the youngsters. So, I think Brad's trading could be better, but he needs to give himself the capital to work properly at the deadline as well. Hence why I think we should trade at least one of the young stars. The Eagles have good draft capital for the trade deadline and the draft because they've got enough to make it work in this symbiotic circle. We need to get to where they are. Levi, Pascal, Ennis, all injury prone before we drafted them, all second round picks. Yeah, no, you're right. You're right. We they had a sticker on them that said buyer beware, and we took them, and that is the risk that you take. Amon-Ra St. Brown was one of the few later round standouts. He was. I will say this, we've not had many late round successes since the Amon-Ra and Malcolm Rodriguez drafts. For as good as people say that he is on day 3, Frazier's not a sure thing yet. Wingo can't even make the roster right now. The day 3 picks haven't been good the last few years, but still some of them can make an impact right now. Grab the best centre free agent and draft one, maybe. I guess it depends where you're at. Drew Dolman for the Bears was getting paid more than Frank Ragnow was, and Frank Ragnow was the best centre in the league. Free agency does put prices up, but I don't know what the centre class is like this year. I would have to check. Lions need to pray Ragnow comes back. Hopefully that he does. Brad trades back. No, I don't. Sure. And Decker doesn't retire. Yeah. Hopefully Decker and Ragnow are here next year. That's the best situation for everybody. Night Owl goes, of all the Lions content creators on YouTube, I think Ant-Man is the one who really has the finger on the pulse of this. Hey, appreciate you, Night Owl. Not everything I say is correct, but I truly believe what I say. And I think that's a positive thing. You won't see me flip-flop and change my mind from week to week. But I always just say what I think. But I appreciate you. I appreciate everybody who's still hanging around today. I'd only intended on going live for like 30 minutes. And I've been here an hour and 20 now. So I appreciate the hell out of you all. I don't have talked about the game as much, but we're talking about the fallout here. We'll have a whole show tomorrow with the game review, as it were, so we can go more in depth to that there. Holmes needs to stop being the smartest person in the room syndrome. Yeah, again, I think this just comes down to his approach was the right one to work with. Sometimes you need to know when to change your approach, and I think now he knows that maybe he might have changed it a little late, and that's what I hope. If he changes his approach this year, I'll be happy with the way he's handled it, all told. But we'll see. Laporta has been good. You don't get better by letting good players walk. Yeah, it's a legitimate argument, but at the same time, we've got to reinvest into the team. And we can't just keep signing every single one of our rookies to big deals. Like the Eagles. The Eagles don't sign all of their rookies to big deals. Sometimes they let them go and then they play the comp pick game that comes with it or the trade game that comes with it. And sometimes you've got to have a cycle of life with your draft picks. We can't just keep paying everyone because it will lead to a lopsided cap situation for us. That's my thinking with that. Of course, in the short term, we won't be good by trading these players away. But I think in the long term, if you let in one of the young guys go, means you've got a draft pick to pick up talent at the deadline the next year. Like if, say we let Laporta go this year and we traded him. Just completely hypothetical. If we got a couple of second round picks to work with for future years, if by the time we get to the trade deadline next year and we are struggling for a left tackle or somebody like that because whatever, Decker's hurt, whatever, if that second round pick we get for him now allows us to attack the trade deadline to fill in a major hole so that we can push next year, then all of a sudden it becomes a good thing for the team. It's about how you redistribute the balance that you get. On day one of a trade, you are a worse team, but you don't always have to wait till 3 years later to see the benefit of that trade. Sometimes it can come back and help you quicker. That's my thought process with that. I think we need more great tight ends and play more 13 personnel. Hey, tight ends were great today. Ferkser was great, wasn't he? Look at him. Zylstra had one of his first catches back, but Ferkser was amazing today. He has not been right since his rookie season. He got injured rookie season and was just back to form and got injured again. That's tough. Yeah, we can't pay everybody in the NFL. We can't. That is just the way and the weird of it. We're really hurting at tight end now. Yeah, we are. We need to invest in some better tight end depth next year. I think if Brock Wright's neck injury is severe, Zylstra's had a bad injury history. I think you've got to invest in some better tight end depth. How you do that, you probably work better through free agency rather than using a draft pick, but we need to put more depth in the room next year. And again, if Wright's hurt with his neck, I don't think you want to go with him as tight end 2 next year. I think you need to go into agency for that. So yeah, we'll see. That's what made the Patriots great. They knew when to let guys go and had someone behind them ready to go. Yeah. You've got to work the process sometimes. You know, I know we all love to see these guys develop with us for 3-4 years, then get paid here, but we want to win a Super Bowl. Do we, would we rather see 10 guys get paid here and not win a Super Bowl, or see 5 guys get paid here and win a Super Bowl? I know which one I'd take. Sorry, 5 guys, whoever you are. We're in the business of winning a Super Bowl, and that's what we've got to understand now. We're here to win a championship, and if it means having to let some of the players go along the way to allow that to happen, we've got to make these choices. Otherwise, we're just going to be a team that has a lot of players that we like and never achieves anything. And that's just not going to get us anywhere. OL rotation killed chemistry. It did. I'm absolutely furious with the rotation we had in this game. It was terrible. Let me just get through these because I'm way behind on the comments. I appreciate the hell out of you all for joining me, by the way. As I say, it's late here. It's about to hit 3 a.m. I'll probably give it another 10 minutes, then I will get out of here for the evening. I am watching the Patriots-Ravens game at the minute, which is a good one. But yeah, shout out to you all for coming and joining me this evening. Appreciate you all. You have no idea how much it does mean. It does mean a lot. I think Laporta value should be less if we resign him. His injuries as major concern. Yeah, I was just using Laporta as an example. I'm not saying we should. It was just a theoretical example. I don't want any of them to go. But I think at some point we have to consider the process. If maybe we have to. Laporta's not on the NFL ref hit list. I think Branch is yet. There is definitely a hit list there. Laporta needs to be healthy and have a big impact next season. I'm sure he will be. I don't think his injury is going to impact next year at all, so we'll be fine with that. I think Brad thought Tate could just step right in for Ragnow. That didn't happen and it threw them for a loop. Cody, I'm not sure. I don't buy all this thing that they want him to be a centre. Again, at the beginning of this season, because so many people wanted him to be a centre, I did the research. In terms of the top 16 centres in the NFL, one of them didn't play much centre in college. Froholt of Arizona. He played 200 snaps in college. All those other centres at the top, 3-year starters, 4-year starters, full career starters. And in the bottom 16, the only career starters in the bottom 16 are the rookies who've not been in the league long enough to make it to the top. And a lot of the guys in the bottom half of the league are guards who've converted, tackles who've converted. You know, they're not natural centres. There is a clear cohesion between the best centres in the league being collegiate centres who understand the position, and the worst ones being guys who don't. Because again, it's such a cerebral position. You can't just learn it. Ratledge has never played centre in a professional setting before. And to just expect him to be able to learn it all, no matter how clever he is, because the only reps he's going to get in the NFL will give him reps on the job, and we're asking him to learn on the job. I just don't think it's realistic. I would much rather have a centre who's been there. Look at Aguakan today. I thought Aguakan did a really good job when he was in. He was a collegiate centre. He understands the mental side of it. He's got the snapping down to a T. I thought the snapping was good. Yes, he's got some raw elements to his game, but he's got the main intangibles you want. And that's why he was able to hang in today and do what he did. I always believe your centre should be collegiate trained a lot. And that's why I don't want to move Ratledge and why I want another centre in the draft this year. Do I have a guitar sitting on my desk? No, I don't. This is just a cup. I don't play instruments. I'm not gifted musically. I listen, I don't play. I'm not sure what that might be. Whenever you touch your table, we hear it. Oh, I'm not sure what that is. Sorry. I'll have to check that out. It's probably my keyboard. I don't know. Is it my keyboard? Sorry, I hope it's not too bad. We need the Florida centre at our first round pick if he's not there. Jake Slaughter, I would love Jake Slaughter. If we had an interior of Jake Slaughter, Christian Mahogany and Tate Ratledge, we're set for 10 years. I would love that as well, but we've got a lot of things we could do in the draft. But he is excellent, and an example of a player I would have in the team because he's got the experience. The 7-year itch is a thing. Super Bowl coaches do it within 7 years. Brad and Dan have got 2 more years unless they give up. Yeah, I've been very vocal. I do not want to end up like the Buffalo Bills and the Baltimore Ravens. Nearly teams who nearly get there but never do. They've accepted being bridesmaid to Kansas. The fact that Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson have never been to a Super Bowl, for me, is just unbelievable. You know, the fact if I was getting so close every year and never making it, for me, that's as big a failure as never making it. Because again, you've got one object in the NFL to win a Super Bowl. A team that finishes with 0 wins every year and a team that gets beaten in a championship game every year have got one thing in common. Neither of them make a Super Bowl. Yes, one might win a lot of games and have a lot of good players, but it doesn't do what it's meant to and win a Super Bowl. Like, just the same as this one. I don't want to be a perennial good team who can never make it. Hence why I think we need to be a bit more aggressive with this and not burn this slow build approach. The slow build means we've always got an excuse for why next year will be the year. And I don't want to be that team. I just don't. If Decker retires, we've got a lot of work to do. I'd say left tackle number 1 priority. If that happens, absolutely, fully agree with you. Brad's problem is he just thinks the draft is going to save you. Good teams are aggressive in free agency, draft and trade. Every single part of the process has its place. Free agency, the trade deadline, the draft. It might be 80% draft, 10% trade deadline, 10% free agency. It might be 60% draft, 20%, but each one has its importance and you've got to nail each one. If you don't get the 10% of the trade deadline right and 10% of free agency right, you're 20% short on building your roster, and that 20% is the difference between you getting bounced by Washington and getting to a Super Bowl. So I agree, you've got to get all three phases right, and the trade deadline we've not gotten right yet. I fully believe we should have gone in and bought the trade deadline this year, and I will absolutely bang the table for it next year as well. We're a good team, we're a winning team, and we need to be able to adapt during the season. So I agree, he needs to get better with those. Tate has a hurt neck too, that's rough, had to start wearing a neck roll in games he did. Yep. They've all been banged up. It's been tough. At least Amik stays healthy. I wouldn't mind resigning him. True, he's tough. He's tough as old boots, and for that I will always appreciate him. Robson should be resigned at a fair price. Robinson, I agree. Ant, didn't see you going live. Well, hey, I hope you're doing well, Grandizer. Matt's been ill. We didn't do a preview for this game, and we didn't do the stream. Matt's been ill. I would have done a stream this evening, but the weather's been horrible here, and it would have got my internet cut out 3 times during the game. So if I was trying to stream, it would have been a nightmare. The fact it's working well now is a minor miracle, but I always like to do these post-game streams because I like to get people's reactions in the heat of the moment. I don't like to wait till we've all calmed down. These have some meaning to them. Micro Mike went off the air right as the game ended. No talk after. He was pissed. I know Mike's pissed. I know Mike very well. We've done a lot of streams together. I know he's annoyed. He's a bit further along the process than me. He wants wholesale change now, in terms of being more aggressive building this team. I'm sort of halfway there, he's full way there, but Mike's passionate, and I know he cares so much about this team, so whatever he thinks, I fully stand by him. Micro Mike's the GOAT, but yeah, I know he's annoyed. We're all annoyed. I'm annoyed. I want this team to win. I'm devastated we've lost today. Absolutely devastated. And you know, it affects us all, so I think a problem is drafting 2 of the same position as an issue. Maybe. Again, this is an emotional business. You should see how I tweet during games. I go through the 7 stages of grief pretty much every single game. One minute I'll want everyone fired. Next I love everybody. It's just the heat of the moment. When we wake up in the morning, we'll all have We'll all have our more nuanced opinions tomorrow. But I hope you're well, Grandizer, anyhow. I see you're keeping Mike McDaniel next year. I was kind of hoping he'd be our new offensive coordinator, so I'm very upset to see that you're keeping the McDaniel in town. See what happens when you root against the Finns. We've got a spot on the couch for you, my guy. Hey, you should thank me, Grandizer. All my hating Miami has made you tougher. What is it? Emperor Palpatine, your hate makes you stronger. My hate to the Dolphins has made you stronger, so you're welcome. Grandizer, Holmes and Campbell should not be fired this season. No, they shouldn't be. I think the Cowboys won the Parsons trade. Maybe. Every trade works. The Cowboys needed to retool, and the Packers needed an impact player. So I think they both won, but because Parsons is hurt, they're not seeing the benefit of the trade. It's like the Stafford trade. The Rams saw the benefits immediately. We had to wait, but we got where we want to. Wasn't this a wins you had penciled in versus the Steelers, or you had it as a loss? No, I was very disrespectful towards the Steelers. I fully admit that. And I still think we're a better team than them. We're a touchdown favourite at home against a team who I don't think will beat us in a playoff game. Of course I expected us to win, but give your credit to the Steelers. They played awesome. I see you still have the cough, a bit under the weather. No, I'm better now. I just always have a bit of a cough. It's cold here, but no, I'm better now. Lions, game balls in the loss. Game balls? Well, I'm not giving anybody a game ball after that game. Who would I give a game ball? No, I'm not giving anybody a game ball. I'm annoyed and I want to be mad at the team right now, so none of them get game balls. We've got to re-sign Jack Campbell. Oh yeah, Campbell is your leader. You don't let Campbell go, ever. We've said out of that draft class, Campbell's the number 1 to re-sign. Even before Gibbs. The Lions lost because we didn't do a live stream. Hey, our live streams are hit and miss this year. In fact, I have a winning rate on the live stream, so I should have gone live today. I apologise, but my win rate on the lives this year is really damn good. They put Tate at centre at training camp first. I think they were just having a look. And of course, they didn't expect Frank to retire. So they had no intention of playing Tate at centre. No one thought Frank was going to retire. So, yeah. Rutledge is a guard, not a centre. Exactly. Put a square peg in a square hole. I hate the versatility project. Aleem McNeil was playing on the edge again today. Why is my 3 tech playing on the edge? Why is my dominating 300 plus pound D tackle playing on the edge again? Make it make sense. I despise it. All this stuff about versatility is bull. I want specialist players at specialist positions doing a specialist job. It's not jack of all trades. It's one of the biggest problems I do have with this regime. Brady Small. Of course you were going to get a Brady Small one in there, Brent. You're army man. No big deal on your mic, and your voice is worth it. Maybe because the mic is mounted to the table we get a vibration like noise. Possibly. I will figure it out for future streams. Yeah. Never had that one before. Ragnar was a guard, not a centre. No, he wasn't. Ragnar played 1 year at guard at Arkansas. Ragnar had full seasons of starting experience at centre when he left college. He had played at guard. He came up to the league and played at guard, but he was always a centre at heart. When you've trained at centre and you have the instincts of a centre can go to guard and then come back again. A guard can't go to centre. You can't go the other way round. For me, because you need the cerebral IQ stuff at centre. You don't at guard. So a centre can work better at guard than a guard can work at centre. Look at the Eagles. Landon Dickerson, college centre. He plays at guard. Their current centre now, I've forgotten his name. He was also playing at guard for them. Centres are better at playing guard than guards are at playing centre, because the centres already have what they need to play that job there. Guards don't have this. And what they call that, always knocking on the door but never able to get inside, it sucks. Yeah, I hate this. Just because I know this is going to give the naysayers such like the same old lines, like the proper. There are people out there who want Detroit to fail so they can do numbers on their live streams and tell everyone, I told you so. Like Syndicate will love this because he hates Brad Holmes. And now he can go on and say, I told you Brad Holmes was a fraud. I was the first one to tell you he was a fraud. Look at me, I'm God. You should come and listen to me. There are people who have personal agendas and they will love the Lions failing. And that's what makes me really mad, because they don't deserve this. They don't deserve to get this handed to them, because I still think they're wrong. They're just very vocal about it. But I'm fuming. How much does Goff have in the tank? Goff can play for years. I'm really not worried about Jared Goff at all. Ragnar did play guard and centre at Arkansas, but the critical thing is he played centre. Again, all the top 16 guys in the NFL had starting seasons at centre in college. Most had at least 2. Minimum 2. You have a minimum 2 years there. You know intrinsically what the position requires, and you have shown an aptitude to play there. But yeah, Goff needs a running game to help him. Every quarterback needs a running game to help him. So, of course he does. But he needs an O-line. I think the O-line's protecting him great in pass protection. I don't think that's the issue. The O-line can't run block at the minute. That's the issue. So no run game because the offensive line can't block. He's got running backs. It's just the line not blocking on the run, which is the problem. Again, Goff threw for 370 yards and 3 touchdowns against the Steelers D-line, which can sack you a lot and can cause you a lot of problems. But he held up for the most part against it. I've actually caught up with all my comments. Game ball, Jack Campbell. In fact, yeah, we'll give Captain Jack one. Game ball to the fans for not leaving. 100%. I do think the fans could have been a little bit louder in this one, though, but the Lions didn't give them much to root for. What went on with the Lions fan and Metcalf? No one knows what was said But the fact is, if you're a player, just keep your hands off, because in this day and age, fans are going to sue. I mean, like, it's just, yeah, don't do it. You just be the bigger man and walk away. And if he says something to you, get him thrown out. Go and tell the official what he said. Get him thrown out. That's the way you win those situations. But, yeah, it is. Yeah, I thought we played with our food. We allowed the Steelers to hang around with us when their offense was awful early, and we gave the Steelers the confidence they needed, because I don't think the Steelers had confidence that they could beat us. Their offense was awful early. I thought we were better. We just, the silly 4th down call where we didn't take a field goal, I thought we let them hang long enough that they got belief in themselves. And when they got belief in themselves, it was over for us. So I do think we did play with our food. Cam Jurgens, thank you, Ken. That's the one. Cam Jurgens played guard for the Eagles as well as Landon Dickerson. They were both drafted as centres, obviously, and they drafted 2 collegiate centres when they had Jason Kelsey, but they had a long-term succession plan in place. Second Kelsey retired, Jurgens was already equipped and ready to go. He'd been playing at guard. They just moved him into centre, and a centre never forgets how to be a centre. They did it right. We never made that investment in the draft towards having a centre behind Ragnow. Again, we had Evan Brown for that 1 year when Ragnow was hurt, but then we let him go in free agency because we didn't want to pay him, and we never invested properly in the draft after that. But again, that's why I'm so much not behind Ratledge moving. It's alright for a centre to move out, not for a guard to move in, because the positions are so intrinsically different. In my opinion, I could be wrong, and I probably am. Jason Kelsey thinks highly of Jurgens. Of course he does. He probably had some input. They probably asked him, and they probably, he probably had some input into that. But the Eagles did it right. They had their guy ready to, and then you've just got to draft another guard again, and it's easier to draft a guard than it is a centre, in my view. Play calling is the issue. Play callings are issues, yeah. We've seen what having a rookie defensive coordinator and a new OC. We've seen too many problems with it this year. Kelvin Shepherd had a really good start to the year, and then he's fallen off because he is a rookie who the league has adapted to and exposed. Hopefully he will learn. Hopefully he will come back better in year 2, more experienced. But yeah, the play calling has been an issue, I agree. And when we were chasing today, it just felt like the Steelers were all over us. Every time Goff was every time a ball got to one of our receivers, it felt like there were 3 Steelers players there waiting. Felt like they got us in a box. There were no explosive plays downfield. We didn't use J-Mo down the field. We didn't use J-Mo at all much. J-Mo's the buzzer beater who can, make a defense back off. And we didn't use him. It felt like we played into the Steelers' hands today. Of course, not running the football was a nightmare. This is not the best defense the Steelers have had for years. They've been statistically one of the worst. The fact we couldn't run made the game so much easier for the Steelers. They were rushing with 3 or 4, dropping loads of people in coverage, making life a nightmare. They just they got one over on us. Question from Grandize, a maybe silly question. Do you see maybe Campbell getting a more seasoned OC in the off-season? Dayball. I want a clever OC. I would have loved Mike McDaniel, but if you're going in the same mould as Ben, just have someone who's got a wide imagination, who's got a lot of situational play calls. He is adaptable. The thing is, with our current OC, he's not adaptable. He's got the way he wants to play football, and he just plays it that way, and that's it. He can't adapt. I want someone who's young, who maybe has some experience doing it, but he'll use all the tools available at his disposal as well. It feels like our offense is playing at 70%. I would prefer someone younger. I do. I must admit. Shep needs to go. What are they doing in man coverage on the last play of the first half? Idiotic. It's true. Again, for me, Shep showed enough in the first half of the season to be given a second year. He did a lot of good adjustments. He did a lot of good things to start the year. I will give him a second season. I think the league just caught up to him this year. And not having half his secondary hasn't helped. He has got mistakes he needs to work on. I fully believe that, but he has shown me just enough to go into next year. But the Eagles could get the run game going either. Other teams know we are going to run it and play calls predictable. Yeah, no, you are right. Blaming Shep is crazy. We would have been blown out in the first half if it wasn't for the defence. Yeah, I think we've forgotten this as well. Like the Steelers put 29 up on us. It was 10-all at the half. And why was it 10-all? Because of one of the flukiest catches of all time. Like, it was just... Did everyone else feel... They were talking about the miracle in Motown when Aaron Rodgers did his Hail Mary. And then literally 2 plays later, he lobs up an absolute moon ball to nowhere. And his receiver falls over, hits the ground. It bounces on his arm. He catches it and walks into the end zone. That felt like the universe was just giving me a massive middle finger, but without that play, that is a 1 in 1,000 play. 999 other times, that ball misses his arm and hits the ground and it's an incomplete pass. Without that one play, the Steelers would have had 3 points in the first half. I think that's a very good defensive performance, so I agree with you. You know, they got run over later on in the game, but in terms of setting us a platform, they gave us a platform to build a big lead in the first half, and the offense did not capitalise. It was the offense's fault, this game was, for me. Because they should have got ahead early, taken Pittsburgh out the comfort zone, and then picked them off when they tried to get too aggressive. We never got in a position to be able to do that. So I agree with you, Bees. Like, the defense was really good. It gave the offense a chance and it failed. And then when the defense fell apart, because remember, that defense was on the field for 14 minutes in the third quarter because the offense gave up a safety. 14 minutes. It's tough. It's so tough when you're out there for so long. And then when the third quarter was over, what did the offense do? It went 3 and out and put the defense right back out there again. How is the defense supposed to survive when it is out there all the time? Again, an 8-minute loss. The Pittsburgh Steelers were one of the worst teams in the NFL for time of possession over this entire season. They won time of possession by 8 minutes. This is not something they're good at. They can't usually run the football. They can't control the clock. And we allowed them to. But we put ourselves in a position where our defense was absolutely toasted. At the end of the third quarter, when we had, again, 20 seconds of possession in the third quarter, right, and the defense was out there all quarter, we were 5 points down. How is that not the defense giving the offense a chance? They were out there for the entire third quarter, and all the offense had to do was score 1 touchdown to take the lead. Sorry, your offense has got to take a lot of heat for this one. I'm falling behind. I thought I was about to catch up with my comments there. I love you all for being so chatty with me this evening. Where were we? God, I'm even off the page now. Oh yeah, we got the blaming Shep one. Dan didn't start having decent play calls until our backs up against the wall in the fourth. Yeah, I hate how the team only started playing when it was too late. They kept playing when it was too late. Why didn't that fourth quarter team appear in the first? If we'd have played in the fourth quarter, like we did in the fourth quarter in the first quarter, we'd have won this game by 30. Easy. But we didn't, and that really annoys me. Outsmarted by better coaches. I don't think Tomlin's a good coach. I really don't. But, you know, it is what it is. I just thought we let them hang with us. I thought they won in spite of us rather than as us. So, you know, I don't think we were outcoached, but we were just stupid mistakes. We have not won a game this year with under 100 yards rushing. Yes, our success is married to our run game, and it's not been right this year, hence why we have struggled. Is Monty's injury or just out of flavour with the coaches? Monty's just... And yeah, why they worked so well last year was because they were split 50-50 and they were kept fresh. I think we've grown to rely too much on Gibbs this year. Like his touchdown things, he gets 3 touchdowns in a game, then no touchdowns, then 3 touchdowns and no touchdowns. I think Gibbs playing well and Gibbs not playing well marries too much with how we win and lose. But I do think we've gone too far. The reason Gibbs has been so productive in his career is because we've worked him in rotation with Monty. It feels like we've worn out Jameer a little bit this year because we've not used more. So I just think they've become too complacent with it. But Gibbs is transcendent, and when he does what you do, you've got to give him touches. You've got to give touches by merit. And Gibbs has merited more touches this year. So, they're that's where we're at with it. Shep is willing to adjust and improve. He is. And you said Matt is sick. Well, after the game, he won't be sick as in ill, but maybe it's pig sick. That's what you're thinking of. You're pig sick if you're sick after a loss or something like that. He's just got flu. There's been a massive bout of flu and that going over here recently, but he's alright. He should be alright for tomorrow. Did you cover the refs and the calls? Good or bad job or even indifferent? At this minute, it doesn't matter. I know people are annoyed with the OPI calls at the end, but the fact is, we shouldn't be in that position. We shouldn't be driving to save the game. After Pittsburgh gave us every opportunity to come back into this game, we shouldn't be driving at home to try and save our season against them. We put ourselves in a terrible position. We forced ourselves where these decisions mattered. The refs were not good, but, again, the Tesla OPI was a bad call. The Amon-Ra OPI at the end of the game was a good call. And even me, I love to criticise the refs. Amon-Ra pushed off, and he shouldn't have. And it was a shame. But the Tesla one was dicky. So yeah, but overall, the Lions lost this game, not the refs. I'm not going to blame the refs for this. The Lions for 3 quarters just decided they weren't going to play as a complete team. The defense did its job, the offense didn't. So yeah, I'm not going to blame them too much there. The offense didn't return the favour to the defense. Nope, that is true. I wish the Lions would have traded for Jalen Phillips or Bradley Chubb. I don't know how much it would have helped, but Judon is past his sell-by date. And for tomorrow, if you can, a slide on what it would take for the Lions to make the playoffs, a visual reference. It's easy, Grandizer. To make the playoffs, Green Bay's got to lose out, we've got to win out. That's the only way we can get in now. There's no other way we can get in. Exactly, that's why I don't understand the Fire Shep fans. People are a lot of people are like, what did you do for me yesterday type thing. Or what did you do for me in the last game? People remember the last 5-6 games have been horrendous on defence. People forget the first half of the year was better. And again, he's a first year guy. We cannot get in a cycle of just firing coaches after 1 year if they don't do well. We've got to give them chance to improve. And I fully believe in Shep as much as I believe in Dan Campbell. I tweeted years ago, there are 2 people I would run through a brick wall for. One's Dan, one's Kelvin. And I truly do believe in my heart of hearts that Kelvin Shepherd is a leader and will be a good DC. I think he is just adapting to a league which is brutal right now and is exposing some of his rookie flaws. But we've at least got to give him the chance to go away after the season's done, look it over, grow as a coach, adapt, give him some new weapons to work with, and then see what he's capable of. Because I think he's flustered right now. Like, that press conference he gave last week is one of the worst press conferences ever given by a Detroit Lions coach. It was horrible. It's one of the worst things I've ever listened to in my life. He said so many bad things in that press conference, which just makes me think he's a bit flustered. But I still think he can get better. Connor Lew is injured, isn't he? Yeah, he's got a torn ACL. You don't want to go near Connor Lew. He's a great player, but I think he should go back to college. Why did Don stop passing the ball? He kept running Gibbs over and over. I think, yeah, you pass the ball a lot, but you always have to keep trying to establish the run. You can't let the threat of the run subside, so you've always got to throw a run in there. The announcer said the ref didn't see what happened. Oh, that's with DK. No, they didn't. I don't like the play calls. I don't like the way Dan is utilising Monty or Gibbs or any of our weapons, to be honest. That's legit. I agree with you. I think the running back room has been handled very poorly. Centre play overall tonight was terrible. Bad snaps and no run protection. I will disagree there. I thought Kingsley Aguakan was very good this evening, especially in the first half. The bad snap we're referring to for the safety, they brought in Michael Neese. Why is Michael Neese starting the second half of a game when Kingsley Aguakan has played the first half and I thought pretty good? There were no snap issues between Aguakan and Goff. And Aguakan, on at least 3 plays I can remember, absolutely pancaked some of the guys. He destroyed Keanu Benton on one pass blocking play. And I love Keanu Benton. I think he's amazing. But Kingsley Aguakan had a good first half, and then they just brought in Michael Neese. And Michael Neese makes the critical mistake, the botched snap that gives up the safety. And then Aguakan comes back in again. Why are we moving centre in the middle of a game when the centre has done nothing wrong? That baffled me. I think Aguakan is a good player. We have spent 18 months investing in him in the practice squad. They obviously see something in him, and I thought he was really good this evening. I think why we noticed the centre play is because they made a switch during the game, which is ridiculous. And I don't get it, and I don't agree with it at all. So I respectfully disagree with that one, Attila. Neese was terrible, but I thought Aguakan was good at centre overall. But, we all see different things. And maybe I'm wrong. I might be. Wish Tesla came down with the high catch. I do, but his other grab from earlier was fantastic. That touchdown grab he did have, he got hit flush by 2 Steelers players while he was in the air. There is no way that man should have held on to that catch. He is honestly, he's going to be exciting next year, I think. 97.1 will have a field day tomorrow. Yes. I think tomorrow when we wake up, we've got to have a fair trial. There are a lot of bad things we can talk about this year. We can't lose sight of the good of this team. Despite the fact that we're hurting now and there's a lot going on, we can't lose sight of the bad. We can't lose sight of the good as well. We have got to show a fair argument. 97.1 are just going to be negative. Negative. They want to fire Brad, fire Dan, fire Sheila, throw the whole thing down. Let's not lose sight of the good stuff as well. But I think there needs to be a much more nuanced conversation which focuses on the negative as well as the positive for us to move forward successfully. Phillips has the same sacks as Davenport. Yeah, don't talk to me about Davenport. I just get rid. I do not want to see him play another snap for this team. He's been absolutely useless. Absolutely useless. I do not want to see him play another snap here. Hopefully Hassanin is healthy. If Hassanin gets healthy by the next game, tell Davenport to hit the road and give Hassanin every single snap. Anthony, it was Dan who changed the centre who caused the safety. 3 snaps in the third is not good enough to win a game. Again, yeah, I blame Dan for that. I don't know why Dan took Aguakan out of the game. It baffled me. Maybe he saw something. I didn't, but again, I was watching from home, but I didn't see any disconcerting problem with Aguakan which would have led me to drop him at the half. And the fact that he came back in later in the game meant that they still trusted him to go back in there and play. So why didn't they start the second half with him? It is what it is. Shep doesn't have T.A. Branch or Kirby either. That is true. He doesn't have his secondary. He doesn't have his 2 starting safeties, and he doesn't have his star corner, his star rookie corner. How I would fix the Lions in 2026. I'm going to need a long time to get there. Would you like the Lions to trade for Chubb? Right now, I don't know. I need to go and have a think about how I would rebuild the team this year. But I would certainly take it as a possibility. But, when the season's done, we'll have a look at how to rebuild the team. But certainly, I would be looking at the trade market. I would not be doing it just through the draft. I would look through the trade market for sure. I love Dan. Pains me to say, but since the championship game, I've realised he will cost us games. We need a new OC. Dan just has a lot on his plate at the moment. I agree. The offensive play calling is stopping him being an effective head coach because he's got so much on his plate. So that's why we need to get rid of John Morton and get someone in he can trust and do it properly. So yeah. DK didn't throw hands. He threw that fan's own hair into his face. Yeah, again, It's tough. Just walk away. Don't engage with fans in the first place. Fans are there to rile you up, and they'll be the ones who win because they'll elicit a reaction out of you. I mean, what do we always say to Branch and JMO? Don't fall susceptible to getting jarred on. Got to be the same with other players as well. I was surprised Tesla held on to that ball too. Yeah, absolutely tremendous. Ant misspoke there. Even those who want the Lions to keep losing to have a narrative has rubbed off on poor Ant. I don't want us to lose. I don't have a narrative. My narrative right now is that the Lions need to adapt their approach. They've done the right thing up to now. Now they've got to adapt their approach. I don't want us to lose. Even if it makes me look like an idiot, I want us to win. Because at the end of the day, I want to have a successful team and follow, and I want everyone to be happy. I always want the Lions to win regardless of situation. I am not a content creator who will get happy off the Lions losing just because it made me prove a point right. I'd rather be an idiot who got it wrong than be someone who's smart and get it right. I would never take a moral high road at the price of the Lions losing. Lions offense is ranked 3. LA Rams 1, Dallas 2, Buffalo 4, Chicago 5. Not sure what OC to look at. What college coach would fit? Ooh, I don't. Okay, I will say this. Brennan Marion will be an offensive coordinator in the NFL sooner rather than later. For those of you who watch the college football podcast, you will know I have a massive infatuation with Brennan Marion. He runs his go-go offense, which I think the go-go offense would work in Detroit, the way we play, the way we want to play football. I would love to get Brennan Marion in Detroit if we're doing college coaches. He's going to Colorado this year. He's going to be Colorado's offensive coordinator with Dion. But the work he did at UNLV was tremendous. And I think the go-go would work in the NFL, potentially. And the way we like to play football, I think it will work. But not right now. I'm talking 2-3 years down the line. Our next offensive coordinator after whoever's next. But yeah, Brennan Marion. Watch Brennan Marion at Colorado. He will be in the NFL at one point in his future. Biggest need in the draft and free agency. We will get down to that at another time because there's a lot of different answers to this. We've got to do the post-mortem when the season's officially over, but just there are a lot of areas we need to address this year. Dan doesn't stick with what is working, but he sticks with what is clearly not working. Yes. Again, going back to the jumbo thing, I don't know why we didn't see Dan Skipper and the jumbo in this game. We have a more effective run game when Dan Skipper and the jumbo package are on the field. So why didn't we see it today when we were struggling? I don't get it. We went away from JMO today when JMO has been lighting teams up and making this offense better. I don't get it. I do agree, but I think this is the whole him being a head coach and an offensive coordinator, and it's taxing him too much during the games, and I don't think he's necessarily seeing it all the time. So, we need to get away from that. Who would you like to see as an OC for us now? I wanted Mike McDaniel, but we're not going to get that, so I'm going to have a look. I'm not always as up to date with some of these guys around the league. I don't dig down staff depth charts and stuff like that, so I will give you an answer. But for now, I say McDaniel was the one I really wanted. I could see Daboll, McDaniel if he fired for the Finns. The only thing with Daboll, I don't like having former head coaches on the staff. I think that creates a weird dictonomy with the players, and power structure. We've always worked better when there are guys trying to prove themselves wanting to be a head coach, not head coaches trying to get back up onto the circuit again. I think it can cause too many problems and divisions in a camp. So, personally, just my own thing, I wouldn't want to go with a guy who's already been a head coach, who's probably trying to get back to being a head coach. Could we make a deal for Joe Burrow? No, that's just not going to happen. Goff's deal still runs for a few years. Yeah, I think they're going to run out this contract with Jared Goff. They have made a commitment to Jared Goff this year. Sorry, the next 2 years. I think we've got Jared here. They have made a full commitment to him for this particular Super Bowl run. They have made a commitment to him, and they will give him all the years of that contract to do it. I think the horrible scenario is that Stafford wins the second bowl in LA, retires, and then the Rams trade for Joe Burrow. I see that being a very distinct possibility, which would be terrible. I'd even take John Gruden for the lulz. All that barstool content in Detroit. That would be great. Montgomery for OC or Thomas Brown. Maybe the guys on staff right now. I know Monty's thought of very highly. But again, we would need to deep dive into this. I don't like to give definitive answers to questions like this because I don't have the knowledge with some of these guys to know what they do and don't bring. And yeah, Finns won't fire McDaniel. They've already said McDaniel's coming back next year, I believe. I think the headline today was they've said he's coming back. It's just Tua. The Tua thing. 99 million in dead next year, but look what the Broncos did with Russell Wilson. They canned him. 90 million dead cap, was it? And they might be the AFC 1 seed this year. Sometimes you've just got to rip the band-aid off. But what did I say to you, Grandizer, at the start of this year? I said Quinn Ewers would have Tua's job by the end of the season. And Quinn Ewers has Tua's job by the end of the season. So I was right about something. So many questions next season. Laporta, Kirby, Branch, run protection for Gibson, blocking, Rakestraw and second. There is. We could write I will probably write a longer blog article on it when the season's done, highlighting the issues we need to deal with going into 2026. But you're right, there are a lot of issues that we need to address next year to make sure we're still a Super Bowl contending team. Hence why I want the slightly more aggressive approach next year. The slow build approach is not going to answer enough questions for us. Heck, I'd take Tom Brady as an OC at this point. No, because then we'll get the when's Tom Brady going to be the quarterback for us thing, and we don't want to go through that. They all challenge the owner. Yeah. We need good health next season. We always need good health next year. Every team needs that. But yes, we do. We could benefit from a more healthy season. The season we went to the NFC Championship game, we were unbelievably healthy. For the most part. Apart from the secondary again. But I think we need to... We're talking about changes in draft strategies. We need to start drafting bigger defensive backs. We love small defensive backs with smaller frames. And I think that's biting us in the arse right now. So I think we need to get some 6 foot pluses in the secondary with bigger frames to stop them all breaking down. Micro Mike's already doing mock drafts, Anthony. Yeah, he is. Micro loves his mock drafts. I love my mock drafts, but I'm not ready for it yet. I like to have... It's like Christmas. I only celebrate Christmas in December. I don't do it in November or October like some people do because it wears down the enjoyment of it. I don't really like to do mock drafts until March when I'm really certain what I'm on about. Because right now, people will do mock drafts. I will tell you right now, a lot of these people don't know anything about these draft prospects. They're just picking names. I don't like to put my views out there. You know me, if you follow the College Pod, we do mock drafts on there, but I followed these guys for 2-3 years and I know what I'm talking about with them. I don't just pick names out of a hat, but I like to be certain before I start putting guys in. So I don't do a lot of mock drafting. He says, I'm doing a mock draft this week on the College Pod, but yeah, it is what it is. We paid Hutch too much. We will see. The end of the contract will prove the tale for that. The big knock I'm hearing with Tua is this year he didn't train with the outside staff company he did in the past. It showed he regressed, maybe. Will Monty be a running back here next year? I don't think so. And you know what? I don't want Monty to be a running back here next year. Not because I don't love him. I love Monty. I don't like what the team's done with him. And I think the team is now slowly moving on from him, which I hate. But the way they've been phasing him out suggests to me Because we're going to have to make some decisions. Monty makes a good amount of money with us. He's on about $6 million a year. We're going to need that $6 million to reinvest into other areas. So I would expect them to go running back in the draft again, not early, but later on, to get a backup for Gibbs. And I'm hoping they think Varkey takes the next step as well. Maybe Sawyers, who knows. But I don't expect him to be here, and I don't want him to be here because I think Monty deserves so much better. He deserves to be a running back one somewhere, and I don't like seeing him wasting the rotation. I think he's far too valuable. If we can keep him, great, but I want us to use him more. Agreed. Health. Our injured players back from injury. Contribution for 2026 draft and the previous two drafts. Yeah, we need the development guys to start coming through. We're getting none of our development players are developing. Sorsdal, Martin, Manu. Got to start. We've got to start seeing these development guys invest returns on us now, because it's really holding us back. Do we draft a running back? Oh, I've just answered that. Yes, we do draft a running back in this draft. I would say we've just got another round 4 pick, maybe round 4, something like that. I think we would go there. Whiteside has looked good in his snaps. Maybe I would keep Whiteside on the practice squad and see what you can do with him next year, like we've done with Aguakan. Invest in them, and then hopefully they'll get their opportunity to come into the team. And if you turn the light off, we can see your tree. It would be nice and festive. It would be. I live on my own, so I have a small Christmas tree. It is nice. I will find a way to incorporate it more as time goes on. I'll bring the camera down or something like that. If the Lions make the playoffs, will they get Kirby and Branch in time for that? No, Branch has screwed his Achilles. Branch is going to struggle to be ready for next. Branch won't be ready for the start of next season. So no chance with Branch. And with Kirby, just shut him down. His knee, he's gone on to IR, so I don't even know if they can activate him again. I think you've got to be activated before the start of the playoffs. I could be wrong. Ash will correct me on that. But he's just gone on IR. So even if we made the playoffs, we wouldn't see either of them. Maybe Goff's quarterback coach, I forget his name right now. Mark Brunell, maybe. I have stranger things to look forward to. I have bed to look forward to. It's 3:45. I've hung around with you lovely people for over 2 hours when I expected to do 30 minutes. I didn't expect this many of you in here, so again, I appreciate the lot of you. I'm looking forward to bed soon, but I've got a line in the morning. I'm playing with the mock playoff site. I'm not. My eyes tell me we're not good enough to make the playoffs. I wrote, in fact, go to our website, roarofthelionsuk.com. I literally wrote an article 3 days ago saying how the Lions don't deserve to go to the playoffs, but they still could. But we don't deserve to go. If we look our way in, fine, but we don't deserve to go. I am not looking at mock playoff things. No chance. Too loyal to veteran players even when they aren't producing. They're too loyal to injured players who keep on being injured. Eventually we've got to start being brutal with the roster cuts, and that means letting go of some players who they would want to keep. They love getting low value injury guys who could give them much better production if they get healthy, but the trouble is they never get healthy. It's causing us a lot of problems. And find it funny, I hear so many bash the Finns for paying Tua, yet when they paid Tannehill top money no one cried the same and Tannehill was worse. I know what you're suggesting there. I think QB contracts they're gonna reach a ceiling, then it could come down. Dak's contract was bad, Tua's contract was bad. A lot of these massive QB contracts are just never worth it. I hear it all the time, glorifying past QBs, but they forget how bad they were. Yep, can understand that. Kirby's injury could be career altering. We don't know, but the fact that he's not played for so long now and it's been bothering him for so long is worrying. Hope we don't lose Branch. Me neither. I do love Branch more than anybody. I just love his temperament. It is what it is. But for the Lions at safety, are you looking to draft a top safety for either Kirby or Branch, or maybe a day 3 safety to groom behind these two? I think Thomas Harper has done enough to stay on this roster next year. I would like to carry Harper as safety 4. Maddox, maybe safety 3. Maddox got hurt today, and I don't know how badly, so we're going to have to wait and see. But I would like to draft another safety, not a starter, unless the value falls to you. Like if Michael Taff's available at the end of day 2, I would draft Michael Taff in a heartbeat if he falls far enough. If you get good enough value from a safety in the draft, then I would draft one high. But I think ideally I'd like to draft one roughly where we drafted Kirby potentially. Someone we can groom. But they're going to be a starter next year. Branch is not going to be healthy for starter next season. So, maybe you have Maddox as your starter and you have a guy in behind that. But I do believe we need to draft a safety. Or I think you have to draft them because Kirby's getting paid a lot of money and Branch will soon be paid a lot of money. So I don't think having a veteran safety who might be on a lot of money is a wise decision. No time for sleep. No, there never is for me. My time to sleep is February when the NFL and college football seasons are over. I've got 6 weeks to go and my sleep schedule will go back to normal. We are definitely not a Super Bowl team, and I say that because of coaching, not the actual players. I think we're deficient in both departments right now. But you're right, we're not a Super Bowl caliber team. Dan said the other week the Rams are the best in the NFC and we're not at their level, and it really hurt me that he said that, but I agreed with him. We're not. I cancelled my plane ticket in the hotel for Thursday midway through the fourth quarter, not flying to Minneapolis to see them this year. Yeah, I don't blame you. Sorry, my point is that most NFL teams never have a backup play for their QB. They draft high. So they just pay the quarter. Yeah, you pay commodity in the NFL. You pay the market. If you don't pay it, someone else will. Like I've seen, is it Daniel Jones's contract this year is it's predicted to be $45 million now. It's like he's had one good year in Indianapolis and suddenly his contract value is $45 million a year. It doesn't make sense. Draft Keon Sabb from Alabama. Wouldn't mind that. He's a good player. Like those short passes to Saint Raymond, etc. Yeah, Goff has missed. Goff is grounding a lot of passes this year, which I agree with in principle. You don't want to give a takeaway away, but it feels like some of the grounding passes are actual passes. And he is missing a few of the easier ones, but there have been some drops as well. There were drop issues today. Amon-Ra dropped another doozy today. I've never seen Amon-Ra drop this many easy ones before, but it happens to the best of them. My free safety wish list: Amare Farrell of Indiana, McNeil, Warren, Toledo. Don't know if Farrell's draft year. Could be wrong, but the Indiana safeties have 11 picks between them, so wouldn't be the worst way to go. Oh, I think I had a safety crush. I will get that to the college stuff. Anywho, it is 8 minutes to 4 in the morning here. So I think after 2.25 hours, I am going to about call it quits now. Varkey needs to be healthy. He does. Will the Indiana quarterback be the number 1 pick? He should be. Obviously, we've got months to go through the draft stuff. I would just say with the draft stuff, the QB class this year is atrocious, especially now most of them are going back to college. Do not let that influence you about Fernando Mendoza. He is legitimate. And just because it's a bad quarterback class doesn't mean the top quarterback is not a good prospect. He is a damn good prospect. So don't let people gaslight you on Mendoza saying he's bad. He's not. I think he's tremendous. The games against Penn State, against Oregon, against Ohio State, it's never flashy, but every time he's asked to be clutch, he's been clutch. And the clutch gene is one of the biggest things a quarterback can have. So he should absolutely be in contention for the number 1 pick this year. Depends who's picking. If it's not a quarterback needy team like the Titans, which it won't be now because they smashed the Chiefs today, it'll probably be Arvell Reese. But if it's a quarterback needy team, he should go 1. God bless you, Ant-Man. I appreciate you, Mr. Detroit City. Yeah, I did catch up. Yes, it is the end of my birthday, so... Right. The Bees goes, I like Goff and Dan, don't get me wrong. I'm trying to ask myself the hard questions. I agree, Breeze. We are entering year 6 next year with Dan and Brad. We have to start asking the hard questions. As much as we love them, we are at the point in their tenure now where we do have to start making demands and seeing results. And 2 years outside, for me now, 2026, minimum, you have got to make the divisional game. You've probably got to get back to the NFC Championship game if you want to retain my confidence that you are really going in the right direction for this franchise. I can accept this year happening, but it's raising your expectations for next year with me, and I think that is a perfectly legitimate thing. So, Beast, I fully agree with you. We can love Brad and Dan and Goff, and we can also question whether they're going to be the ones to get us there at the same point. You can live in a world where you can have both those opinions, and don't let anyone else tell you otherwise. Some people are happy to wait 20 years for this thing to bear through. I think us waiting 6 years is more than patient enough to then we can start having legitimate expectations this year. We've given up over half a decade to this build, and we have been very patient and very reasonable. I think it's absolutely fair to have expectations next year and to hold them to those expectations. So yeah, find your balance, buddy, between believing in the guys and questioning whether they can get you to the next level. There is a healthy balance to be had there. Right, thank you to everybody who has been in this evening. I have appreciated it so much. I'm going to go through it again tomorrow. I will make sure that all your relevant bullet points and everything are put in the review show, and that we discuss all the issues you want us to discuss. This has been very helpful this evening, and yeah, enjoy the rest of Sunday night football. I'm going to watch the last 9 minutes of the Ravens game and then go to bed, so I'm nearly there. But appreciate all your birthday wishes. I've had a lovely day despite the Lions season potentially being ended, but I've spent it with all you guys, which is what I love. So yeah, thank you everybody. Have a lovely evening, and again, we may have reached a disappointment today, but keep the faith. You know, there are a lot of times we'd have dreamed and been in positions like this in years past. I still think we've got the right people. I think we've got the right players, and I think with a slight change in the adjustment of the way we're doing this, we can back to where we want to go. So have a great day, everybody. I shall see you soon. I have been the Ant-Man, the Brit with grit. One pride.